Let's talk education in Cameroon. Since it's back to school, I thought a very good topic for me to touch on would be our Cameroonian educational system. In this video, I'm going to talk to you all about the Cameroonian educational system, how it functions, the different levels, and basically everything you need to know about the Cameroonian educational system. So if you like to see all this, just keep watching. Hi guys, welcome to my channel. My name is Kenna and I am a Cameroonian content creator. I create content about my beautiful country, Cameroon. On this channel, you're going to see a lot of things about Cameroon. If you want to know about life in Cameroon, you want to know about Cameroonian men, Cameroonian women, everything Cameroon, information about Cameroon, you're going to find it on this channel. So please click on that subscribe button if that's something you're interested in. Also, I talk about trending topics now and then on this channel, but our main focus is Cameroon. Like I said, today we're going to be talking about the Cameroonian educational system, and it's very easy. It's not that complicated. For those who do not know, Cameroon is a bilingual country, so obviously we have the Franco-Saxon and Anglo-Saxon educational system. It's mainly the same number of years and everything. The only difference is that some people study French and others study English, though we have a very little percentage of Cameroonians who do bilingual studies. First of all, you need to know that the educational system is divided into parts. We have the nursery and primary, we have the secondary and high school, and we have the university, or what we can call the tertiary education. This is also divided. We have the Ministry of Basic Education for the younger level, and we have the Ministry of Higher Education for the higher level. We'll go stage by stage. I'll tell you the qualifications. In Cameroon, we have the nursery education. Nursery education is not compulsory. So in the nursery education, we have the pre-nursery, nursery 1, nursery 2. Pre-nursery is usually just for kids who are, let me say, 0 to 3, because in Cameroon, to start school, you have to be at least 3 years. So those kids who are 0 to 3 years can go to pre-nursery. Mostly people who send their kids to pre-nursery could be parents who are working and they don't have time to be at home with the kids. They just decide to send their kids to pre-nursery. Sometimes when they feel like a child is a little slow and is not learning how to talk easily, some parents send their kids to pre-nursery because that's where they learn how to talk and sing rhymes and all that. We have the pre-nursery, then we have nursery 1. For you to get into nursery 1, you have to be at least 3 years old. Yes, that's what the government says. Before, people used to send their kids even 2 years, 1.5 to nursery 1, but the government passed a statement, I think 2 years ago, where they said for your kid to enter nursery 1, the child has to be at least 3 years. So most schools now, if you go to try to put their kids in school nursery 1 when they are not yet 3 years, they won't let you put the child in school. The nursery section has 2 years, nursery 1 and nursery 2. But there are some people who decide not to even send their kids to nursery school. You could still just keep your child till the child turns 5 and then you put them straight to class 1. But in that case, you would have had to be teaching them a lot of things at home before taking them to school, or else it might just be a jungle for them. When a kid graduates from nursery school going to class 1, there's no certificate, there's no particular certificate recognized by the government that a child has to go to class 1, because like I said, you could still keep your child till the child is 5 years old and then you take the child at once to class 1. So we have the primary section, that's where class 1 starts. Primary section is 6 years. Before it was 7 years, but the government changed it and it's now 6 years. I did 6 years in primary school, not because it was 6 years then, it was 7 years, but when I was in nursery school, back in my years, that was sometime in the 90s, I think mid-90s. Mid-90s? No, sometime in the 90s. When I was in nursery school, if you did really well, they were always going to tell you to skip class 1 and just go to class 2. So that's what happened to me. I did well, so I didn't really go to class 1. They just moved me to class 2. But after some time, the government noticed that a lot of children were going to secondary school when they were not of age, like they were not strong enough. So the government decided to say no, each child has to start school at least 3 years old, and you will not enter into the secondary school unless you're 10 or 11 years. What I'm just basically saying is primary school now is 6 years. We have class 1, class 2, class 3, class 4, class 5, and class 6. When you get to class 6, that's the examination class, right? You're going to prepare and write an exam to move from primary school to secondary school. So these exams are first school leaving certificate and common interest certificate. Majority of the time, all kids always pass this. It's difficult to see children who do not pass this. So after doing 6 years in primary school, you now graduate from there. You have your first school leaving certificate and your common interest certificate, and you go to secondary school. These days in secondary schools in Cameroon, people do entrance exams, even government schools. Back in my day, it was not done like that. Majority of the schools, when you finish from secondary school, you just go with, from primary school, sorry, you just go with your certificate to any secondary school of your choice, and you are going to be admitted if you fit their criteria, right? But that's not the case these days. These days you have to do interviews, or you have to write an entrance exam. When you write the entrance exam, you now go to secondary school. Secondary school is 5 years, and it's Form 1 through Form 5. So when you get to Form 5, you're now going to write the GCE ordinary level. Excuse me, I have been talking only about the English speaking education. That's wrong. It's same thing. It's basically the same thing. When it comes to French education, instead of the GCE ordinary level, you are going to write the probatoire. When you pass the probatoire or you pass the ordinary level, you're going to now go to high school. High school is just lower seat and upper seat. It's 2 years, and at the end of those 2 years, you're going to write either the baccalaureate in French, or you're going to write the GCE advanced level. This helps you to now get into the university or to get a higher education. So in Cameroon, there are a lot of universities. I think there are 8 state-owned universities, and out of these 8 state-owned universities, we have just 4 of these universities that embrace the Anglo-Saxon educational system. We have the University of Boya and the recently opened University of Bamenda. Recently, because it's not up to 20 years. So we have the University of Bamenda and the University of Boya, which are completely Anglo-Saxon universities. If you go there, it's either English or nothing. And then we have the University of Yaoundé 1 and the University of Yaoundé 2, which are somewhat Anglo-Saxon, which means, okay, I went to the University of Yaoundé 2 and you can write your exams in English. You don't necessarily have to do everything French. But if you're going to any other university in the country, you should be prepared, because it's the Franco-Saxon education. Okay, so we have universities like the University of Marua, University of Gaoundéré, University of Douala, University of Nchang. Those are completely French universities. One thing you should know about our Cameroonian universities is that the greatest complaint people would say is our Cameroonian universities are not really professional, which just means that they don't teach a lot of professional courses in these universities. As the years have gone by, it has birthed a lot of professional schools where you can study things like ACCA, you can study SIM, you can study different international courses, because a lot of people discovered that our universities are not professional. Okay, you study things like linguistics, you study things like law, but it's not on the professional side. I don't know how to explain this properly. When you go to universities, like, okay, let me take like the University of Boya, right? You see things like people studying English, linguistics, French, geography, biochemistry. Like, they are not really professional. So that's why a lot of professional schools have developed, and you see that so many Cameroonians are now sending their kids to professional schools. I have a lot of reservations when it comes to these professional schools, because sometimes they are not really certified and they are not really legit. But there are a lot of these professional schools now which people have decided to send their children to. Another thing you should know about the Cameroonian educational system is that we have public owned schools and we also have private owned schools. The private owned schools are owned by individuals as well as churches, while the government schools are obviously owned by the government. These days, a lot more Cameroonians are leaning towards private schools, because some people have the feeling or the thoughts that private schools are more detailed in their studies than government schools. I don't know. I send my kids to private. Let me give you my reason why I send my kids to private school. I send my kids to private school because I like the fact that private schools have smaller classes, fewer pupils, students, however I call them, fewer pupils and students. So in that way, a teacher can identify each child's problem and solve it individually. But when it comes to government schools, since it's cheaper, there are a lot more kids in classes, and sometimes your child might just be that one child that has a problem, but it's not easy to identify because there are too many of them in the class. That is it for the different types of schools. And then we also have day schools. We have day schools, we have evening school, and we also have boarding schools. Day schools in Cameroon are just those schools that run run from 8 to 3 p.m. while night school is those schools that are mostly in the evening. Majority of the people who will do night schooling is usually adults or older people who want to go to school and maybe have a job, or they have something doing during the day that doesn't permit them to go to school during the day. While we have boarding schools. Boarding schools is those schools that you just take your kids and leave them at the beginning of the term, and then you can visit them within the term and take them back at the end of the term. So yes, we have boarding schools, we have day schools, we have night schools. You just have to decide which one will work for you and pick one for your child. I feel like this is all we need to know about Cameroonian schools. Let me know if there's more I didn't talk about in this video. Are there some things that we need to know about Cameroonian schools that I really did not bring up in this video? Let me know. Let's talk more in the comment section. Thank you very much for watching, and I am going to see you on my next one. Love you guys. Bye. Mwah.